Firefighting is survival mode. Problem solving is success mode. Choose your lane. Every single day, people wake up and immediately dive into chaos. The phone's buzzing, the emails are flooding in, someone's panicking, something's broken again. And without thinking, without pausing, they throw themselves into the fire. And for a moment, it feels like they're doing something noble, something necessary. They're the hero, the one who shows up when things go wrong, the one who's always fixing, always saving, always rescuing. But let me tell you something real. Firefighting is not leadership. Firefighting is not growth. Firefighting is not how you build legacy. Firefighting is survival mode. You weren't born to survive. You were born to thrive, and thriving demands more than hustle. It demands vision. It demands that you stop long enough to ask yourself the hard questions. Why does this problem keep coming back? Why am I stuck in the same pattern? Why am I constantly running from one crisis to the next? And most importantly, what system am I missing that's allowing the fire to keep burning in the first place? When you're in survival mode, you're not solving anything. You're just managing symptoms. You're treating pain instead of curing disease. You're spending your life reacting instead of designing. And that's not the life of a champion. The people who win, the people who rise, the people who build something that lasts, they shift gears. They stop patching holes and start building structures. They don't settle for being the one everyone calls in a panic. They become the one who creates peace, clarity, and direction. It's a mindset shift. It's the courage to zoom out and say, I'm not just going to get through today. I'm going to make today solve tomorrow. It's choosing to be proactive, not reactive. To be strategic, not just heroic, because heroes burn out, systems endure. Too many of us have confused chaos with purpose. We've been taught that being busy means being important. That if we're not rushing, if we're not stressed, if we're not buried in a mountain of urgent issues, then we must not be doing enough. That's a lie. Success isn't found in your ability to juggle 10 problems at once. It's found in your ability to eliminate the root cause of all 10. That means stepping away from the noise. It means taking a hard look at your life, your business, your relationships, and asking, what's broken and why? What do I keep putting off fixing because I'm too busy fixing everything else? Choosing your lane means choosing to step into the role of a problem solver, not just a problem manager. It means building habits, systems, and disciplines that don't just put out fires. They prevent them from starting. It's hard work, it takes time, but it's the work that sets you free. It's the work that stops you from waking up in a panic every morning. It's the work that creates momentum instead of exhaustion. It's the difference between being the go, a person in an emergency, and being the one who built something so solid emergencies are rare. It's the difference between always playing defense and finally taking the ball and scoring. If you're always reacting, you're not leading. You're leaking energy and direction. Real leadership isn't about how fast you respond when things fall apart. It's about how well you build so they don't fall apart in the first place. But we've been conditioned to think that speed is everything, that the faster we jump, the more we prove our worth, that if we're always available, always solving everyone else's problems, always the first to respond to the latest crisis, then we must be in control. But the truth is, when you live your life in constant reaction mode, you're not in control. You're a puppet being pulled by chaos. And every time you react without intention, you're leaking something precious. Your energy, your focus, your vision, your ability to move the needle forward. Imagine trying to drive a car with someone yanking the wheel every 5 seconds. That's what life looks like when you're stuck in reaction mode. You can't build anything meaningful like that. You can't create from a place of panic. You can't grow when every ounce of your energy is going to putting out fires instead of planting seeds. That's the trap. It's a cycle. You react, you survive, you breathe for a second, and then here comes the next fire. And before long, years go by and you're worn out, frustrated, and wondering why you're not further ahead. It's not because you're not capable. It's because you've been busy reacting instead of taking ownership. Leadership is a conscious decision to stop letting life dictate your pace and start owning your path. It's the courage to say, I'm not going to let every demand, every notification, every emergency hijack my purpose today. It's understanding that just because something is urgent doesn't mean it's important. Just because someone's panicking doesn't mean you have to join them. Just because the world is moving fast doesn't mean you should lose your stillness. Leaders move with purpose. They respond yes, but not from panic. They respond from a place of power. They filter noise from signal. They ask, is this aligned with my mission, my goals, my vision? And if the answer is no, they let it go. When you react all the time, you let everyone else set your agenda. You become a slave to circumstance. You say yes to things you should say no to. You chase fires that don't even belong to you. And slowly but surely, you lose your direction. You lose clarity. You start forgetting why you even started in the first place. That's the cost of reaction mode. It robs you of the long game. It keeps you so focused on what's screaming the loudest that you miss what's calling the deepest. If you want to lead, truly lead, you have to reclaim your energy. You have to be intentional with where it goes, because energy is everything. It's your creative power, your focus, your edge. When you leak it on things that don't deserve it, you lose your ability to do what really matters. You lose your momentum. Leadership is about holding that energy sacred. It's about creating space to think, to plan, to build. It's about choosing your battles, setting boundaries, and protecting your peace so you can be at your best when it counts the most. Temporary fixes keep you busy. Permanent solutions set you free. Too many people are caught in a loop, fixing the same issue over and over again, throwing a band-aid on a bullet wound, patching leaks instead of replacing the pipe. And every time they do, they convince themselves they're making progress. But here's the truth. If you're solving the same problem every week, you're not solving it. You're avoiding the root. You're choosing busy over breakthrough. You're staying stuck because facing the real solution takes more than effort. It takes honesty, discipline, and courage. We live in a world that rewards quick fixes. Patch it up, keep it moving. Hit the snooze button on your deeper issues and just get through the day. But surviving the day is not the same as building a future. It's not the same as growth. Temporary fixes will steal your time, your energy, and your potential. They will fill up your schedule and empty out your spirit. Because while you're putting out one fire, 10 more are brewing beneath the surface, and you never get ahead. You're always one step behind, always catching up. Always working hard but feeling like nothing is really changing. Permanent solutions require something most people avoid, facing the hard truth. It means looking at the systems, the habits, the mindsets that are creating the chaos in the first place. It's not glamorous. It's not fast. It might not get applause today, but it's the only thing that creates lasting change. If your finances are a mess, stop borrowing from one account to pay off another. Build a budget, get educated, create a strategy. If your schedule is overloaded, don't just cancel a few meetings. Rebuild your priorities from the ground up. If your relationships are full of conflict, don't keep apologizing for the same mistake. Dig deep. Understand the wound, communicate, heal. Freedom doesn't come from being good at quick responses. It comes from building systems that don't need you to rescue them every day. It comes from setting things up so they work while you rest. So they run while you lead. That's the mindset of a builder, not a firefighter. That's how legacy is built. One solved problem at a time, one strong foundation at a time, one intentional choice at a time. Permanent solutions take more energy up front, but they pay you back for years. They give you peace of mind. They give you mental space. They let you grow without being weighed down by yesterday's baggage showing up again and again. This applies to your life, your work, your relationship, every area. Temporary fixes are tempting because they give you the illusion of progress. You feel accomplished because you checked a box, handled a situation, responded to a crisis. But ask yourself, did that fix the problem or just delay it? Did that move me forward or did I just circle the block one more time? Every time you opt for temporary, you say yes to more future stress. But when you decide to stop, to slow down, to solve it once and for all, you create space for elevation, you create space for momentum, you create space for freedom, and freedom is where your best self lives. Busyness is not a badge of honor, it's often a sign of broken systems. We've been sold a lie that the more we hustle, the more we matter. That if we're constantly moving, constantly grinding, constantly exhausted, then somehow we're doing it right. But the truth is, being busy isn't proof of progress. It's often a red flag that something isn't working. It's a signal that instead of leading with strategy, you're reacting to chaos. That instead of walking in purpose, you're running in panic. And the crazy part is, most people don't even realize it. They wear their burnout like a trophy. They brag about how tired they are, how little sleep they got, how many fires they put out before breakfast, not realizing that none of that means they're winning. It just means they're drowning in dysfunction. There's a difference between being productive and being distracted by constant activity. Real productivity is measured by results, not how full your calendar is. You can spend an entire day chasing tasks and not accomplish a single thing that actually moves your life forward. You can be present in every meeting, reply to every email, say yes to every request, and still not grow. You can be surrounded by motion, but have zero movement. Busyness creates the illusion that you're doing something valuable, but deep down, you know when you're just spinning in circles. You know when you're tired but not fulfilled. You know when you're working hard but not getting ahead. A broken system doesn't mean you're lazy. It means something needs to change. It means your energy is being poured into the wrong places. Maybe you don't have clear priorities. Maybe you're saying yes to everything because you're afraid to let someone down. Maybe you haven't learned to delegate. Or maybe you're addicted to the noise because silence would force you to face what's not working. But here's the hard truth. Until you fix the system, the cycle continues. You'll keep waking up overwhelmed. You'll keep ending the day drained. You'll keep wondering why your progress never matches your effort. Greatness isn't found in how many things you can juggle. It's found in how many distractions you can eliminate. It's about simplifying, streamlining, getting brutally honest about what matters and what doesn't. It's learning to say no without guilt, to cut what doesn't serve your mission, to focus your time and energy like a laser instead of scattering it like confetti. That's where freedom lies. That's where clarity lies. That's where real growth begins, because when your system is right, your schedule reflects your values, not your chaos. Your time reflects your vision, not your anxiety. Don't confuse exhaustion with excellence. Don't confuse motion with momentum. Don't let the culture of busy trap you into believing you're doing something meaningful when all you're doing is maintaining dysfunction. If your system is broken, fix the system. Build structure, create habits, develop discipline. The most powerful people in the world aren't the ones doing everything. They're the ones doing the right things consistently. They're not drowning in tasks. They're swimming in purpose. They've stopped worshiping the hustle and started respecting the process. They've realized that busyness might impress people for a moment, but systems build legacies that last. Solving problems requires strategy. Chasing fires requires panic. Panic is loud, messy, emotional. It thrives on urgency and pressure. It demands attention right now without any room for thought or clarity. And so many people are building their lives from a place of panic. They're making choices in the heat of stress, responding to problems in survival mode, and calling it work ethic. But solving problems, that's a whole different energy. That's not about who can move fastest in the chaos. That's about who can step back, see the patterns, and design a plan that stops the chaos from repeating. Strategy is quiet, it's calculated, it's controlled. It doesn't scream, it speaks with purpose. When you live in a constant state of panic, you're not solving anything. You're just surviving the moment. You're trying to get through the hour, the day, the crisis. And when it's done, there's no system in place to prevent the next one. Panic forces you to react. Strategy invites you to think. Panic throws you into the fire. Strategy teaches you how to fireproof the foundation, and the world will always try to keep you in panic. You'll be hit with deadlines, emails, emergencies, problems you didn't create but now have to fix. If you're not intentional, you'll get sucked into that storm and start believing that living in constant urgency means you're valuable. But the real value isn't in how many fires you put out. It's in how many you prevent because you had a plan. Strategy is what separates the overwhelmed from the unstoppable. It's the difference between spinning your wheels and building momentum. Strategic people don't move based on pressure. They move based on principles. They don't let urgency dictate their decisions. They pause, they assess, they execute with precision, and because of that, their energy doesn't get wasted, their effort compounds, their actions are aligned with the bigger vision. You'll see people doing less but achieving more, not because they're more talented, but because they've stopped responding to panic and started operating from purpose. If you want to lead, if you want to grow, if you want to build something that lasts, you can't afford to let panic be your compass. You need a strategy. You need systems that support your vision, not drain your time. You need to think ahead instead of constantly looking back at everything that just broke. Strategy gives you breathing room. It gives you clarity. It allows you to say no to distractions because you know what truly matters. It's not about being rigid, it's about being intentional. When a challenge shows up, you don't crumble, you don't scramble, you respond like a leader because you're not guessing. You're grounded. Fire chasers burn out. Strategists rise up. The ones who solve problems at the root don't have to revisit them later. They make the tough call now, so they don't have to keep repeating the cycle tomorrow. They take the time to think long term, to look beyond the quick fix, and to ask better questions. Not just, how do I fix this, but why did it happen in the first place, and what can I change so it never happens again? That's the mindset that changes teams. That's the mindset that transforms lives. That's the mindset that separates those who just survive from those who dominate their space with excellence and consistency. The greatest leaders don't put out fires. They build fireproof systems. It's easy to get caught up in the thrill of the rescue, to feel like a hero every time you swoop in and fix something that went wrong. But real leadership isn't about being the hero in the moment. It's about creating a structure so strong that chaos has no place to grow. It's about prevention, not panic. It's about building something that doesn't collapse the moment you take a step back. Because leadership isn't about how many emergencies you handle. It's about how few need your handling in the first place. Too many people wear burnout like it's a badge of honor, like constantly being needed means they're irreplaceable. But that kind of leadership is rooted in ego, not excellence. The best leaders don't build systems around their presence. They build systems that thrive in their absence. They create processes, routines, and standards that allow their teams, their businesses, and their families to function with stability, with clarity, and with strength. They don't need to be everywhere at once because they've built a culture where everyone knows what excellence looks like, even when no one's watching. Fireproof systems aren't built in a rush. They take time. They take discipline. They take the willingness to step back from the day-to-day grind and ask the hard questions. What keeps breaking? Why do we keep facing the same crisis? Where's the weak point? Most people avoid those questions because it's easier to stay busy than it is to be honest. It's easier to run around fixing symptoms than it is to stop and confront the real issue. But fireproof systems only get built when you're willing to go there, when you're willing to slow down, get strategic, and build something better from the ground up. When you shift your mindset from fixing to building, everything changes. You start thinking ahead. You start investing in sustainability, not just speed. You stop glorifying urgency and start honoring excellence. That's the shift that separates noise from impact. That's what takes you from reactive to proactive, from exhausted to empowered. And the beautiful part is this. When you build fireproof systems, you don't just protect yourself. You empower others. You give your team, your family, your community the freedom to grow without chaos. You create a culture of trust, a foundation of order, a rhythm that fuels progress instead of stalling it. Being a leader means thinking beyond today's problems and building for tomorrow's possibilities. It means seeing the cracks before they become catastrophes. It means asking, how can I make this stronger, simpler, and smarter so I don't have to rescue it later? It means pouring your energy into the front end so you don't have to live in damage control on the back end. That's not glamorous. That doesn't always get applause. But it's the kind of leadership that lasts. It's the kind of leadership that builds teams that don't fall apart when pressure hits. Systems that don't break under stress, and lives that move with peace instead of panic. You don't need more adrenaline, you need more alignment. You don't need more tasks. You need more structure, and structure doesn't limit you. It frees you. It frees your time, your energy, your mind. It gives you the room to think, to create, to grow. It gives you the power to focus on what truly matters instead of being pulled into 100 things that don't. Leaders who build fireproof systems don't get addicted to being busy. They get obsessed with being effective. They don't just solve problems. They solve them so well, they never show up again. They don't rely on chaos to prove their worth. They create calm to elevate their impact.